Ah, yes. Memories of my time as a leader. That was the time I led them through the jungle. That was the time we had a Halloween competition. That was the time we sang in the... Anyways, at some point, every leader has to say goodbye to what they built and pass the baton to the next person. Johnny, it's your turn. Here you go.
Oh, thanks so much.
It might sound easy, but believe me, it can be one of the most challenging processes a team can face.
I don't want it.
And when done right, it can also be the sign of a great leader. According to a Harvard Business Review study, they found that 60% of transitioning executives fail within the first 18 months of being promoted or hired. This staggering statistic highlights just how crucial a smooth transition in leadership is, not just for the executives, but for the entire organization, team, or community. How well or how poorly it's done can make or break your group. But don't worry, I got you covered with 7 essential tips on how to do it effectively. Let's get into it. The first tip on how to create a successful transition has to do with first things first, start early. Begin the transition process well in advance to ensure there's this smooth handover between the outgoing and the incoming. This isn't like cramming for a test the night before. Oh, I gotta do this right, I gotta do this right. No, think of it more like preparing for a marathon. You need time to get ready. According to the Center for Creative Leadership, the transition process between leadership roles should start at least 6 months before the outgoing leader leaves. Starting early allows for ample time for that new leader to get acclimated and for the outgoing leader to share their knowledge, their experience, and of course, their wisdom. The second point to creating a successful transition has to do with a transition plan. We need to create a transition plan. Let's see here. Okay, step 1, step 2, and action. And I'm not talking about scribbling a few notes on a napkin during lunch. We need to develop a detailed plan that outlines the key milestones, the key responsibilities, and the key timelines that the new incoming leader needs to know about. Make sure you share this plan with everyone involved, also known as stakeholders, to ensure that there is transparency and accountability in the transition process. Think of it kind of like your transition GPS. Without it, you might end up in the wilderness of change, completely lost. Lost in the woods. Research by McKinsey and Company shows that 9 out of 10 teams whose leaders had a successful transition went on to meet their 3-year performance goals. That's so impressive, but it's based on having a successful transition. This highlights how critical a smooth transition is for the new leadership and their teams to achieve that long-term success. The third point in having a successful transition of leadership roles has to do with documentation. Keep thorough documentation of the processes, the key contacts, the ongoing projects, and the organizational history. These are often called SOPs, also known as Standard Operating Procedures. And these will serve as a valuable resource for that incoming leader. It's like leaving a treasure map, only instead of gold at the end, it's full of crucial information that's going to help that new leader navigate their new role. I mean, they may be disappointed they didn't get the gold though.
Dad, where's all your gold?
If you're struggling to make your SOPs perfect, stop! Instead, focus on getting the first version down so that the next leader at least has something to work with and then improve upon. Remember, even Google started in a garage, and I'm pretty sure their first SOP was probably something like, don't trip over the lawnmower. The fourth tip on creating a successful leadership transition is all about mentorship and continuous support. We want to implement a mentorship period where the outgoing leader works closely with the new leader to provide that guidance, to answer questions, and offer support. I've been in that role, and it is crucial to have access to the outgoing leader. But don't stop there. Provide ongoing support and resources for that new leader even after the transition period. In fact, a study done by the American Society for Training and Development found that 75% of executives say mentoring has been critical to their career development. So don't just peace out and leave them high and dry. This kind of mentorship could include leadership training, coaching, or maybe even regular check-ins. It's like teaching someone to ride a bike. You don't just push them and hope for the best. Good luck! You stay close, you offer tips, you maybe even run alongside them if you're a good parent. The fifth point to creating a successful leadership transition is about communicating openly and focusing on the relationship between you and the outgoing leader. We want to maintain open lines of communication with the team as well throughout the entire transition process. We want to address any concerns, provide regular updates so that everyone in the team knows what's going on and stays informed and engaged. Encourage even the new leader to start building relationships with those team members, those stakeholders, and the key partners early on, even as early as 6 months prior. Strong relationships are crucial for effective leadership. And if that incoming leader has strong relationships, it's only gonna make their role easier. It's like building a bridge. You need a solid foundation so that you can connect point A to point B. Speaking of point, the sixth point to creating a successful leadership transition is to set clear expectations. Clearly define the roles and the responsibilities of that new leader and set realistic expectations for the transition period. This helps to avoid that confusion that can set in at the early stages, but it's also going to set the stage for success for that incoming leader. Think of it as setting the rules for the game. Everyone needs to know how to play to win. In fact, the American Management Association, they found that leaders who have clear expectations are 50% more effective in their role. And now, the seventh and final point related to having a successful leadership transition is to celebrate the achievements. Woohoo! Recognize and celebrate the contributions of the outgoing leaders. This not only honors their work, but also sets a positive tone for that incoming leader. It's like throwing a farewell party. It's a chance to say thank you and welcome to this new chapter with enthusiasm and excitement. In fact, research by the Harvard Business Review shows that recognition and celebration can boost employee morale by 8 times. Who doesn't love a good party? Just make sure HR doesn't catch you with sparklers indoor. Trust me on this one. Okay, before I go, I just want to quickly give you some quick unwritten rules related to this transition period. The first unwritten rule related to leadership transition is that before you go, we want to prepare the team for the new leadership style. Just because you had a leadership style doesn't mean that the other person's gonna have the same style. Every leader has a unique style. So you want to prepare your team for the change by discussing the new leader's approach to prevent any major shocks and ensure there's a smooth transition. Another unwritten rule related to leadership transition is that we don't want to badmouth the new leader or the old company. Stay positive, avoid the negative comments about the new leader and or your previous company. Your behavior during this transition period reflects more on you than anything else. So keep it classy and not sassy. And the last unwritten rule related to the leadership transition has to do with saying goodbye and then taking your leave. After you hand over the reins, we want to say goodbye and we actually do want to step away. We want to allow that new leader the space and the freedom to be able to build their relationship, establish their leadership without us lingering around checking in on everything. So there you have it, folks. Our 7 tips for a successful leadership transition. The best leaders are the ones that not only are great while they run the group, but also they leave the group up for success long after they're gone. It's a challenging process, but with the right approach and the 7 tips and the unwritten rules I give you, you can create this smooth transition as an effective leader and handing it over. By the way, if you like this video, I highly recommend you check out all of our videos because we constantly are talking about ways how you can engage your people. Speaking of which, my name's Tom. I'm here to help you to engage the people on your dance floor. I'll see you in the next video.